Hi, I'm Dr. Clyde Wilson, and this is the first of a series of mini courses in nutrition. This first one being Basic Introductory Nutrition. Subsequently, there are Sports Nutrition, Weight Loss, and Health Nutrition mini courses. So for Basic Introductory Nutrition, I want us to ask the question, why do we care about nutrition? What does it do for us? And once we understand why we should care and think about what our physiological targets are in life, whether it's improving your performance, losing some weight, minimizing disease risk, increasing lifespan, improving mental focus or energy levels. So regardless of what it is that you're after that nutrition can help you with, you want to understand some of the basics of nutrition so that you can have a strategy for making any changes in how you eat. We all know how we like to eat. My favorite foods, for example, are pizza and ice cream. This is true. And just eating that makes me very unhealthy. I found that out when my doctor, at the age of 20 years old, told me that I had 300 cholesterol, that I was obese, and that I needed high blood pressure medications. So pizza and ice cream, just giving in to what it is that I love eating, ends up being a problem. So here's the next question. If you're going to change from what you like to eat to something else, what's going to give you the greatest effect? Because if I'm not eating pizza and ice cream, then I'm not eating what I want to eat. Because that is what I want to eat. I know that. I can't change what I want any more than I can change what's my favorite color. My favorite color is yellow, and I can't decide that it's blue. My favorite food is pizza and ice cream. I can't decide that it's salad. Period. So if I'm going to eat salad, I want to get an effect. I want to see a change in my body that I'm after. I want to get something out of it. There's tons of diets out there, and who knows what might work for you this year or next year or for your friends but doesn't work for you. So what are the basic principles? That's our starting point. So we're going to forget about all the different philosophies of nutrition, the different approaches that may work for different people depending on their metabolic rates, and some of the higher level questions of nutrition, like what do low-calorie sweeteners do to brain function and how it makes you eat more as a result of a derangement of the brain's association of sweet taste with subsequent calories being perceived in the intestine. Right, so there's some high-level discussions in nutrition that are important, which we're going to exclude in this basic introductory course. And first, just ask the question, why do we care? So it's quality of life. At some point, most people come to a conclusion that they want more out of life in some specific way, whether it's not falling asleep in the afternoon, shedding 10 pounds of body fat, whether that's for aesthetic reasons or for medical reasons, or maybe a certain disease runs in the family, high triglycerides, a precursor to disease, not a disease in itself, or maybe there's a particular type of cancer, or maybe diabetes runs in the family. And so we will start to want to adjust how we're eating from whatever it is that we like, the pizza and the ice cream, and eating whenever we like, skipping breakfast and having 3 dinners and 3 desserts. So some kind of spacing of calories. So what are the elements of what we should eat? What are the elements of when we should eat? And what are the elements of hydration? Or I call it water because that gives us 3 W's, what, when, and water. Of course, you can hydrate with things other than water. Turns out that they are not as hydrating as water. So really hydration comes down to water. Here is my just kind of sketched out basic introductory thought process for nutrition. Why do we care? Quality of life, for mental and physical energy, to improve our ability to live today, and longevity so that we have more days. So if you're living more and able to interact to a greater extent, you have more creativity, inspiration levels, physical energy, then you have a greater quality of life, a greater ability to express yourself, a greater ability to be who you are each day. And then if there's longevity, then you have more of those days. So a greater summation of days with improved quality of life. And longer years of that gives you a greater total quality of life, both because of the increase each day and because of the increase in the number of days. And what we're after understanding is what we should eat, when we should eat, and the water element. In terms of what we should eat, we want to understand what the macro and micronutrients are. In terms of when we should eat, we want to think about the rate that nutrients are coming in, and in terms of hydration, the retention of those fluids. So for example, drinking a lot of coffee, which is a weak diuretic, is like opening a spigot on a faucet where you keep going to the bathroom. Whether you drink 1 cup of water or 10 gallons of water, the water's just going to come rushing out. That's what diuretics do. So coffee's not a strong diuretic, but for someone who drinks 4 cups of coffee each morning, they're not going to be able to retain their fluids for half the day. And stress reduces kidney function so that it isn't until you're asleep where you finally process waste products and salts as efficiently, and you end up waking up through the night, and that is a dehydration process reducing sleep quality. So we want to think about hydration through the day, through the night, by improving our ability to retain and use fluids, but also to process through the kidneys well through the day so that we don't have reduced sleep quality through the night. So what that means is limiting how much fluids we drink that have sugars in them that don't hydrate us as effectively, limiting what fluids we consume that are weak diuretics that can become strong diuretics if we drink large amounts, so teas and coffee. Even though teas are low in caffeine, they have other compounds related to caffeine. They're called xanthines. Caffeine is one of them, that induce just as much diuresis as coffee. So limiting to a couple cups of coffee in the morning and a couple cups of tea in the second half of your day, so 4 total doses in the day, half as coffee, half as tea. That's about the upper limit for most people, what studies show, before the diuresis becomes fairly strong. If you eat a lot of salt, you'll lose a lot of fluids. If you perspire a lot because you're athletic and you don't eat a lot of salt, then you'll also lose a lot of fluids because there's not enough salt to hold on to fluids. So if you're either high in salt or really low in salt and exercise a lot, or drink a lot of diuretics, then it doesn't matter how much water you drink. You'll be dehydrated. So really, hydration isn't just about, are you drinking 8 cups of water a day, 2 liters of water a day, a liter for every 1,000 calories that you eat. So if you're only eating 1,500 calories a day, that would be 1.5 liters a day. If you're eating 3,000 calories a day, it'd be 3 liters a day. So it's not just, are you drinking that amount of water? It's a bigger question. Are you retaining it based on the other things that you're doing? In terms of when you're eating, you want to ask yourself, am I eating nutrients at the rate that my body can use them? When you don't eat breakfast, your body's looking to get nutrients, but they're not there. So the body eats itself to get nutrients. Your brain and other organs will use your muscle tissue as a protein source, and your brain will use your muscle tissue as a ketone fuel source because blood sugar is low. And then, of course, the entire body is using protein from muscle because blood protein is low. So low blood sugar, low blood protein equals muscle loss, body eating that organ system to try to maintain viability. Sure, you're burning a lot of fats when you're starving, but 1/4 of that will be muscle mass loss. Eating breakfast is the first step towards evening out calories throughout the day so that you have an even rate of nutrients coming into the body. And not overdoing dinner and desserts at the end of the day is part of that process as well. In terms of what we're eating, we want macronutrients, some protein, some dietary fats, some carbohydrates. Water is a macronutrient. And we also need micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, but also plant nutrients. Plant is phyto, so phytonutrients. Not from supplements, but from fresh vegetables, to a lesser extent fruit. Fruit is about 3 times as high in sugar as vegetables, so you really can't get the same health impact from fruit that you can get from vegetables. You're really shortchanging yourself if you do not include vegetables a couple times per day, both at lunch and at dinner. It's much less likely that a person eats vegetables at breakfast time unless they're mixing them into an egg scramble or something like that. But lunch and dinner would be fine. But if you don't have that, then although fruit is high in nutrients, it's not nearly as high as what we think of or call vegetables. So thinking about what you're eating, you want to get each of the macronutrients, protein, dietary fats, carbohydrates, as close to its original form as the earth provides it, so that it's high in micronutrients as well. In terms of when you're eating, you want to think about spacing out your calories and nutrients through your day so that your cells always have some of everything available to them that they need. In terms of water or hydration, you want to think about not just how much water you're drinking, but what else are you doing with high or very low salt when you're exercising a lot, or weak diuretics that would inhibit your retention of fluids. So what, when, and water. In the remaining mini lectures that are part of this basic introductory nutrition series, I will go through each of those elements in a little bit more detail.